because we're at the same time trying to make a city that you subconsciously can understand as a consumer, that you've experienced on the day-to-day life, but at the same time we want to make an engaging game.
Enjoy the net.
We had multiple strategies to achieve that, one of which was to make sure that the metrics that we were using were established early on, that we set them in stone, that we wouldn't end up changing them later down the line. So the metrics essentially are the measurements of various pieces. So the doorway has to have a specific height, a hallway has to have a specific width. If you do everything very realistic, you can have very narrow corridors, which can cause a lot of problems for either the camera which is following, or if you're supposed to have a fight there, when you shove characters, then things will start clipping into walls, everything will just start falling apart. We were heavily inspired by northeastern American cities from the 90s. So New York, Philadelphia. We had a lot of photos from the era which were amazing, which had a lot of character, which really set the tone for the project. But then also we had 3 art direction pillars that really kept on going back to, and we used to filter through all the photos and the references and to inspire and to amplify the work. And those were statement, violence, and parasiticism. Statement was all about big, bold splashes, essentially having a big mural on a wall about the city. Then we had violence, which was the representation of how the city was violent, how everything had a story, that there was a person, there was a fight, things were cracked, nothing was really pristine or new. And lastly, with parasitic is the term we had for the sort of greed and the corruption in the city, that the difference in wealth inequality, just exploring those sort of themes of injustice. So I think the most exciting thing for players to find in the game is just all the nooks and crannies that we've put in a lot of love and attention into. There's a lot of areas where maybe we don't have any specific gameplay that pulls you there, but they're interesting to explore regardless. So I'm really looking forward to when people will be able to go there.
We can take a lot of inspirations from existing cars, but the cars in their design is mostly ours now. And we had quite a lot of liberty when it came to that. Because if we were working on real brands, we wouldn't have any type of freedom. There's a lot of challenge that comes with the freedom. Because you need to stay true to what people have seen or can relate to when they look at these cars. They can't look at a car and go like, oh, that looks weird. But we want them to look at the cars and go like, oh, I kind of recognize that. The one car that actually went through a very dramatic transformation was Samson's car. We had settled at first at a standard 4-door sedan. It felt too everyday, your average Joe who just sat in his car driving to work. And that did not fit him as a person at all. And eventually we were like, I think it's time for us to do a proper car for Samson. There was no hassle working with that car. Everything was pretty straightforward, but it worked. We got it in and it just looks so differently from all of the other cars. It has attitude. It's definitely the magnum opus.
I own these streets.
All cars deform differently, especially throughout the ages. All we knew was that we kind of wanted a little bit of mayhem, and we wanted these brutal takedowns. We wanted you to have the car as a tool. And that was a lot of work between me and our VFX guy, Oscar. He was the one that uplifted the whole thing, that made it so much more impactful. So when you smash a car, they start to tumble, they go full James Bond mode. When we got that first big roll and they flew into a pillar, that's when we knew that we got it.
a city in the 90s, so cars we know are going to be a part of the game. We know they're going to be a form of transport in the world and traffic, so they are getting you from point A to B. Samson, his loved magnum opus car, is his weapon as well. You know, if he's tasked with getting this hit where this guy is speeding in front of him and the only thing is his car, he may have to weave through traffic and slam his car into his to push that car off the road or into a post or something to take it out. Another time it might be, you know, he's trying to help his team through a heist or a hit and he needs to get them out of that location before the enforcement arrives, so it might be a getaway vehicle. It might just be a simple delivery tool as well, like he needs to help his gang get things delivered around town on time and he's the man for that. In-car combat, it's about, like, you know, it can be cars hitting each other, and it's the relative momentum of the two cars, like how fast the car is, how much mass they have is dictating the damage that's being done.
Up on, they're gonna try and get behind you, they're gonna charge in on all sides. You gotta keep moving, keep swinging. You can walk into a nice clean room and totally wreck the place. The world is not just an arena in which you can take broken things and make them into weapons. You can knock stuff over onto people. Debris can get in enemies' ways. Heavy stuff can fall and kill people. Like, it's crazy. We spent you get out of fight, you pull out a gun, you'd be at distance, you'd take out your targets. We weren't getting the same kind of crazy chaos.
The original vision for combat in Samson was to hit like a freight train.
Samson, a Tyndalston story, is an upcoming single-player open-world action game developed and published by Liquid Swords, the Stockholm-based studio founded by industry veteran Christopher Sundberg, co-creator of the Just Cause series and former chief creative officer at Avalanche Studios, and represents the studio's debut project built around a gritty, consequence-driven noir crime narrative set in the fictional industrial metropolis of Tyndalston. Scheduled to launch in early 2026 for Windows PC via Steam and the Epic Game Store at an expected price of around $24.99, the game focuses on a pressure-driven gameplay loop, where the player assumes the role of Samson McCray, a hardened street fighter attempting to escape a crushing debt that grows with interest as time passes, forcing him to take increasingly dangerous jobs, confront gangs, corrupt authorities, and rival factions, and navigate a city that constantly reacts to his actions and reputation. The design philosophy behind Samson emphasizes momentum, urgency, and consequence, with a systemic structure in which every day costs money and every decision, whether accepting missions, engaging in combat, or exploring the city, pushes the narrative and gameplay forward while raising the stakes of Samson's situation. The game combines brutal close-quarters brawling, environmental takedowns, vehicular combat and high-speed pursuits, and reactive open-world exploration, with combat described as grounded, physical and dangerous, taking place across dense urban environments including alleyways, rooftops, garages and backroom establishments, designed to keep the player moving quickly rather than wandering freely. Gameplay also incorporates resource and time management mechanics through a system of limited action points that determine how many activities Samson can perform each day, reinforcing the central theme that inaction worsens his financial and social situation as the city's systems respond dynamically to his progress. The narrative tone leans heavily into noir, crime drama, and personal survival, depicting Samson as a desperate man trying to repay his debts and protect his family, while confronting both criminal syndicates and law enforcement forces determined to bring him down, with storytelling delivered through mission progression, environmental detail, and character interactions rather than lengthy exposition. Built with a modern game engine and aiming for cinematic presentation and realistic physics, the project blends elements reminiscent of classic urban action games with more focused systemic pressure mechanics, creating a world that is intentionally dense and reactive rather than sprawling and unfocused. As of March 8, 2026, the most recent updates surrounding Samson, a Tyndalston story, include the release of new gameplay footage demonstrating its physics-driven hand-to-hand combat and destructive vehicular encounters, as well as continued confirmation that the title remains targeted for its early 2026 PC launch window, while console versions may follow later depending on the success of the initial release. Positioning the game as a mid-budget but highly stylized action experience built around tension, consequence, and survival in one of the most unforgiving fictional cities in modern video game storytelling. Now you can enjoy the screenshots without any interruption. Enjoy!